So the topic of panel discussion is strengthening data security, tackling enterprises threats amid evolving regulation and technologies. And I will be joined by Mr. Saurabh Saxena. He is Regional Vice President Sales for OpenText. Saurabh is going to join. Mr. Manoj Agarwal, Senior Account Manager, OpenText. I think, please, Mr. Sushil Mahak, CISO Teams. In families. Yes, sir. Any other? Thank you. I know, but because I think Jim, she said, you think, like, I think that's the sake of they're awesome. She's very happy. We are going to have a very generic conversation on security, and especially from a content management perspective. So first of all, thank you so much. Let me begin with you, Sushil. What we have been observing is that there is a lot of heterogeneity within IT environment and data center. And there are a lot of things in different places in terms of your own asset. So first you need a very greater visibility across all the asset that you have. And also you would like to have a single source of truth in terms of managing those. So if you could share your initial thought as to how do you look at uh, the growing challenge of heterogeneity in asset management, um, especially in the view of that there are a lot of things happening now in AI. That means we will be creating more content, more asset corporates will be creating. How we should create a single pan or maybe a single source of truth in terms of managing all of them.
Good evening. Hi, thanks for inviting me such a wonderful panel discussion. We will see the different forecasting and from healthcare. Healthcare is more vulnerable than any other data today's stage. There is a separate region for this, but I don't want to go that things. If you talk about I go back about November 22nd, 2022, we have a massive attack. It's not a massive attack, it is attack. That's all. Yeah. Our main database has been compromised and we recovered without any ransomware. Okay. But on that day, with everybody convinced that we have to listen to Cisco, what he's saying, although it was not there. Budgeting, of course, one part is there because it's required a huge budget for this. And you can't believe it, last 2 months back, we have worked 350 crores to modernizing our own infrastructure as well as cyber security. When after compromise, what we have done it? The 2 sessions before, if the means your organization is being compromised, how to come out the ransomware it is mentioned, how to negotiate it is mentioned. We have faced similar problems. You must have seen every headline is in Sia. Second part is that even some people they have told us to get 200 crores has been given by the AIMS. Third thing is that when you are in Delhi and you have to face to the media, you have to face to all the police, you have to face to the certain, you have to face to the regulatory, home ministry, and law, every people there. And there are three agencies, those who are in front of us for the forensic. And everybody needs the data copy. If you can.
Here you go.
Perfect. Anyway, they have taken logs and everything they have taken it. So I formed a committee and went to assign some people to what to do, how to face the media, how to face to the forensic people, how to face to the and next plan of action.
So next,
Then we have planned that two things we have to do it. Immediately we have to work out what is our policy, what to be changed immediately, and what is the framework which we have to change it within existing setup.
Correct.
So we have taken the proactive action what it will be and reactive what it will.
and we have clearly defined, and policy is clearly defined. We have started consolidation. And I have 40,000 endpoints. Anybody has? Within 15 days, endpoint has been installed in every list. So what I mean, and recently also already we have been doing mock drills, regular basis, assessment, third party assessment, as well as even we are giving some people coach who are very interested to do some projects with us for in order to assessment. And simultaneously we are on the tracking with TI enabled. And you can't believe it, AIMS has a, we are talking about infrastructure. AIMS has a massive infrastructure. We have around more than 700 IoT device, which is connected with the ventilators. Okay, and at the edge of the each IoT, we have AI agents. We have done actually we have done it. Because if something's the pressure parameter is going down, AI agent will inform immediately to the concerned doctors.
Conflict.
And it was very much valuable. I have 3 labs. These robotic labs, smart labs. No sample is handled by the human being. All the tubes of the samples it will be handled by the robotic hands. And they're taking to the lab equipments, putting the there and result publish. And the publish of result also it is analytic based. पेशेंट को क्या हुआ है, क्या मेडिसिन चल रहा है, पास्ट टेस्ट में क्या निकला है, सब कुछ एवेलुएट करके फिर अप्रूव करता है ये टेस्ट सही है कि गलत है. So in this environment, we need a massive policy issues. What your asset where it is, you're supposed to know it. That asset visibility is supposed to be there. Otherwise, you can't do it.
Yes.
And culture. Of course, the culture is, I think the culture has to be made. You have trained to the users, trained to the own people, continuous training programs it is required, assessment is required, but always do the assessment because करते करते आप भूल जाते हो कि ये मेरा पॉलिसी में कोई छूट गया. असेसमेंट करोगे तो वो थोड़ा सा आपको लाइन में ले आएगा.
So this change was gradual or
हाँ,
this change was gradual or it was done immediately? So it's
see, change will take time. Still, I'm talking about I don't put anywhere. We have some programs also inside. Best employee of the making the cyber security.
right.
Okay, that is also we give, and the last month we have the cyber security months.
Right.
उसमें हम अवार्ड भी दिए, तो वो रिफ्लेक्ट करता है.
Right.
ठीक है. और जो बैड गाइज है हमारे, उनको हम लोग बुला के हमको वार्निंग भी देते हैं, रिटन भी देते हैं, हमको समझाते हैं.
Right.
ठीक है. अदरवाइज इवन हमने एक लोगों को पनिशमेंट क्या दिया गया मैं बता रहा हूँ. If you do this sort of activities, we will send to mortuary for your work. ठीक है.
ड्यूटी वहां लगी.
वहाँ duty लगेगी.
Right.
That's the point. So the way how you can handle this. For this, it is required a top function. They're supposed to premises. Otherwise, they.
Absolutely.
350 करोड़ आप एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए कोई नहीं देता, कोई खर्च भी नहीं करता.
Yeah, absolutely. Picking from what you are actually saying, especially from a data perspective and how critical it is for the hospital, because these are PI data. And given the fact, Mr. Saurabh, now the India is about to implement the DPDP Act, that means the compliance becomes quite critical for most of the organization. And you will only be able to meet and balance those compliance with the regulation when you have the better visibility, when you know where your assets are, when you are able to classify in a very acceptable manner. What is your sense? How do you see that the corporate should be able to have a single source of understanding as to what they have and how they can manage that in a very compliant way going forward?
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for taking the time out. I know it's been busy and little complex getting into this room. So, very interesting question. All of you would have heard of GDPR, right? GDPR has been there for forever. And if you are engaging with the European customers, you've got to be GDPR compliant. but it's kind of spread across, right? For instance, the US, there was a mention of CCPA, which is California Consumer Protection Act. We're a Canadian company as OpenText. In Canada, we've got the act called Personal Information Protection and Document Access Control. In Singapore, we got a version of DPDP. It's called Personal Data Protection Act, whatever the acronym is. And we've got similarly something in Australia. In fact, that was something that's come up in Indonesia as well, very similar to the DPDP Act. So I think there are strong regulations on data privacy, on PII data, which is basically pushing organizations to have better visibility and control of where the data is. And because there is a strong deterrent with respect to fines, and the fines can be, it's fine. The fines has got two aspects to it. One aspect is the pure commercial aspect of a fine. The second aspect is reputational. That if you're not able to secure data in your organization for your internal employees or people that you're engaging with externally, then there are trust issues and maybe you will have strong business reputational issues. So what options do you have? The way that we look at it in OpenText is that there are 4 things that you've got to do. First, you need to do data discovery. Where is the data? So you need to discover the data, all the data. And data can be structured, unstructured, content is everywhere. So first you've got to discover the data. Second, you've got to classify the data, which means that you've got to put a value to the data and the risk to the data, because you've got to prioritize. Now, AIMS has got 350 crores, not every organization gets 350 crores, right? So you've got to prioritize and classify the data. The third is you've got to protect the data. Data protection becomes very, very critical. In a sense that how do you ensure that, can you encrypt the data? How can you deploy, say, access controls in ways to protect your data? And the fourth and the most important is data governance. So you got to put who's got privileges, stuff like that. So you got to put a governance framework. Sir talked about the cybersecurity month that was there, and you were trying to put a behavioral internally in the organization, etc. Yeah. So these are the 4 areas. The way that we look at it is that, and you go to innovation as well. And there's a lot of focus on AI. The foundational requirement of AI is data and information. Now you've got to have data privacy and all those stuff around it as well. So we believe that you've got to start with data discovery and classification, and then work on innovation and look at applying. In the era of AI, and I talked about in the presentation as well, is that we tend to confuse what we see popularly as consumer usage of ChatGPT or an equivalent Gen AI model, which is more consumer, which is not meant for industries and organizations, right? Because most of what you will do is with your proprietary data. I think it's very, very critical. And this is a very strong domain. Engaging with customers, I can tell you that many Indian customers were not discussing this about 3 years back, but they're now getting on the table and talking about this, what we can do in the last 12 months to 18 months because of the DPDP Act. And it's all regulatory. It's not restricted to healthcare or finance or pharmaceuticals. This act spreads across horizontally across every segment. That's how it is.
Thank you.
I'll go to Mr. Manoj. Mr. Manoj, in enterprise, this is a reality that your information will be in a different set and quite possibly in a siloed manner as well. Then how do you actually create a system wherein you have maybe a circular visibility from across all points, and how do you do that from our OpenText perspective?
Thank you. Good question. Good evening, everyone. I think it's a pleasure to be with all of you this evening. Thank you for your time. I am Manoj and I lead the content business for OpenText in this region. And the question to me is, how do you get a unified view of your information across the enterprise? Because the enterprise typically have different applications. It could be SAP, it could be Salesforce, it could be SuccessFactors, it could be Oracle, and so forth. And typically we tend to create silos of information because an application A doesn't talk to an application B. There may be some integration, but at the information level, at the content level, typically they don't integrate. And we all know that content is at the core of all your business processes, and it is also core to the collaboration across the enterprise, within the enterprise, and outside of the enterprise, across the entire ecosystem. It could be partners, vendors, suppliers, and so on and so forth. Lead applications like SAP, Salesforce, they drive some very business critical business processes, and each of these business processes has an associated content to it. Now, these content could be structured, could be unstructured, could be semi-structured. But typically, as I said, they work in silos, and that leads to digital friction. And because of this impacts customer engagement. This impacts employee productivity. So, as OpenText, we realize this challenge which we have in front of us, and as a market leader in this space of content management, we are currently working with some of the leading global companies. We have partnership with SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, Google for that matter. We have also, a partnership with SolidWorks, which is a Dassault engineering application. So there are a number of partnerships that we have done. The idea is that how do we get all the information under one single content management solution, and this enterprise content management solution is able to give you a single unified view. Now, let me give you a context of the current challenges that customers face. I was talking to a very senior HR executive in a Fortune 200 company in India, and he tells me that if he has to do a promotion of a employee, he has to generate documents from 12 different systems across the enterprise, and which takes almost about a month to get all those data together and put up the file to senior management for a promotion of that executive. So this was one use case, and then you can understand what I am actually referring to. Similarly, as I said, Salesforce, SAP, they are working in silos. Now we are talking of a customer record in Salesforce. The PO is coming there, but all the back-end work is happening in ERP. After this, the order comes in, the sales order gets separated in ERP, and post that you have billed it, and all the invoices comes into FICO. Now understand the guy, because CRM is typically a customer-facing application. Now he is looking at the sales, which is tracking the lead, doing some marketing functions there, and most importantly, servicing a client. Now, for a client, for a customer, if he doesn't have the visibility right from his purchase order to a sales order, to an invoice, to shipment details, it is very difficult to really address the customer requirements well. So, if you have been able to do an integration, then you can understand that and how we do it. I think so. This is the problem statement. How do we create this, and which is unique in the marketplace, that we create a digital folder. In our content management system, something unique, we create a digital folder we call a workspace. And this workspace, in which we talk to different systems, anything which is associated with the object. Now, there are objects. I'm sure since you have an application, you would understand there is an SAP object. It could be a supplier, it could be a purchase order, it could be a vendor, so on and so forth. Or if I look at maybe from a Salesforce perspective or a CRM perspective, a customer record. The moment you create a digital folder which is linked to maybe a customer record, any information across the application landscape which gets generated will get into this digital folder. Now you understand that once all the information, whether it is generated through SAP, through Oracle, any of these application landscape, information is available to you. And the associated data is also available from the application. So hence the information is available in the context of the data. So we talk about content in the context of business process. So that's how we try to address this particular problem. So I hope I've been able to convey the point around this.
We have 5 more minutes, so possibly I can ask you one more question. And before ending, there are a lot of people who utilize the SAP S/4HANA. These are very complex platform. I mean, similar other platform but equally complex. And I believe while I was speaking to you, you mentioned that OpenText also works around these things. So could you share, especially on SAP HANA, S4 digital transformation, how do you do that? What are some of the core pillars that you look at?
So I think I spoke to some folks here in the room. May I know how many of the CIOs in the room are undertaking a ERP transformation initiative right now, specifically around SAP? So I said,
we went go live on SAP right on 27th of
Fantastic.
so there are quite a few. I think our story will resonate. And most of you would have heard about OpenText. Yeah. So why
There's
we
no
didn't?
choice as well, right? You have to know why we don't. Absolutely.
Come again?
There's no
No
choice.
choice.
Yeah, so I think this is
So
all
EC6 you have to move on.
We'll,
Of course.
we're going to record this statement. We love that statement. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, you can very much.
I think
Telling this to SAP.
all the good work which has gone over the years. So I think this partnership is almost, so essentially we started sometime around 1991 and then we got into a partnership with SAP. All of us know SAP is a transaction system like any other ERP or any other CRM system. So where we actually collaborate together while they manage the business process, they leverage us for content, they leverage us for information management, and that's the partnership. And this is essentially a 360-degree partnership where there are joint roadmaps, joint product development, unified support, and they also resell our product as part of S4HANA or the S5 ECC. They had an SAP content server, which I'm sure most of you would know that has limited roadmap. So essentially with S4HANA, as Madam rightly said, there is absolutely there's open text content management solution, and there are two solutions to it. One is the archival and document access. Now some may call it a DMS, but this is essentially not a DMS system. They are essentially an archival and document access system, which essentially does two things. The data archival. So when you move from ECC to HANA, there is so much of data choices. You take all of your data onto S4HANA, and then naturally the cost goes up significantly. The other is you might want to take the open transactions or the last 6 months transactions or the last minute transactions, depending on the policy, and the other document, other information that ECC data you can archive on our system. Plus, since SAP DMS doesn't have a roadmap, you can archive all your documents, you can move all those documents onto open text. So this essentially, as I said, it's not a DMS system, but all the attachments within SAP business process can be managed out of this. Something what you are doing with an SAP DMS. So this essentially is a solution which is available on cloud, on Google Cloud in India, and this is essentially available through SAP as part of the S4HANA ERP transformation. The bigger piece which we have is our content management platform, and that is also available through SAP. And a lot of times there are use cases, and some of it what I spoke about, that you have different applications you want to consolidate. You want to use this information for various use cases. But there could be workflows, this could be audit trails, collaboration with your partners, engineering drawings, etc. So for all that, then comes this particular platform where we can talk to all different applications. So yes, this partnership is almost about 3 decades old now. We have together, I think we have about 5,000 odd customers jointly. We happen to be the Solex partner, which is the highest level of partnerships. All our products are tested, certified with the SAP, and that's the reason that they carry that as part of their portfolio. So yes, I think it would be what the vendor choice. Yeah. So on top of it, as part of S4HANA, we see a lot of customers also evaluating our account payable automation solution. So we all know that vendor invoice management solution, while there is an AP module within SAP, lot of times, unless until you have a vendor invoice management solution, you end to do a lot of work manually, feeding this data into SAP and then initiating, maybe processing those bills and invoicing and making the payment. So what we typically do is we have a vendor invoice management solution which sits on top of it. Is actually an add-on to S4HANA.
Three-way matching?
Yeah, we have three-way matching.
Well, it's by certified by the SAP as well.
The SAP only resells.
SAP reseller.
Typically, it is our product, but because this is the use case is typically for S4HANA and it is an add-on to S4HANA, only SAP is
Or a
authorized.
BDP license for this, or maybe a CPI.
No, this license is, Vim is itself a license.
Okay.
It is licensed based on the number of transactions or the number of invoices you do in a year. So every invoice is essentially a transaction, and that very number of transactions in a year which you process in this system, that very number of licenses you need to buy.
And what is the minimum? I'm so sorry. What is the minimum and number of invoices are there? Like maybe few companies have.
So 30,000 is the bare
Bare
minimum number which you can start, and then it can scale. So today we have IOCL which does about close to about 1 billion. Whole India will now deploy it for about more than 1.3 million. ONTC does it, ITC does it. So ITC is almost about close to 1.5 million invoices in a year.
All the business.
All across 13 businesses, 6 different SAP landscape. So this system is a proven. Tata still happens to be, using since 2018, and they have close to about 1 million invoices which they run out of their shared services. Proven solution works absolutely fine, and this is an add-on. And I think along with that, there comes a capture solution. So all the data extraction from the invoices which are coming in and they're feeding into the vendor invoice management. And this vendor invoice management is also built on our content platform. The moment you feed the data, the workflow can get triggered. And that is where three-way matching. If there are any exceptional handling, then you go to the concerned officer to look into that. And then finally it gets processed. Lot of times 50 to 60% is completely hands off, but there's no manual intervention. Completely gets off and then it gets posted into the SAP later. So completely a seamless solution. So these are the 3-4 solutions which typically we see that they typically we have lot of other solutions as well around customer experience. I did talk about success factors. Yeah, that's another. So are there any customers who have success factors in their list? Yes. Okay. How many employees do you have?
12,500.
12,000.
We have recruitment, onboarding, and the comp and that. We are going for
Wonderful, perfect use case for our solution. And may I know which organization?
Villas.
Villas of. You want to talk like I was looking for. Yeah. In fact, we will talk to Vishal and some of these folks to really come and meet you and talk about our solution. Wipro has deployed this solution for success factors across the globe for about 2.3 lakh employees. Document generation was a huge challenge for them because there are so many different templates. While success factors will have few templates, there are always a limitation. And when you're working with so many different entities, different geographies, there need to be so many different templates. So, and then when you do the document generation, you would like it to get into a workflow for different approvals and then digital signatures. So all those use cases are possible. The biggest use case is how do you create an employee digital file? That's the biggest problem. And I was talking about an HR executive saying that to give a promotion or even to initiate an inquiry, if I have to put up for some this thing, I need to look at 10 different systems to really generate a file and then start an inquiry. So that's the challenge. But if you have a digital file with every document right from his onboarding, since the time he was given the appointment letter to any promotion, transfer, and so on and so forth, all gets into one single file. The life gets easier. And employee details are coming from SAP. All the associated documents, because of our technology of the digital workspace, all the documents are getting into that folder. And this is not a manual activity. Every time, the moment, because employees is also a business object or in SAP, right? So any associated documents will automatically get into them.
Right now we have a DMS SharePoint we are using for dining, but love to understand.
So see, SharePoint and all,
Maybe let's
we
do
will
it.
take that offline, but yeah, we will be happy.
So we use it internally in OpenText as well.
SAP uses OpenText for managing IBM, Starbucks, so there are a lot of customers who use for 1 lakh employee, 2 lakh employee. Wipro India has already done it, and right now we're talking to a lot of keys around it. So that could be other good use case where we work with SAP very, very closely. So that's it. That is it from my side here.
So thank you so much. I think we have already exceeded our time by 12 minutes, and we have. So thank you so much to all of you for being such a wonderful panelists and sharing your views. We have a next panel for 20 minutes right here for the NetApp. So next we'll move to that. So I'll take 20 more minutes of yours here only. Thank you so much. Thank you.
To